just continuing on that theme of sticking to your guns. This is a group of guys that like they kind of like started getting their break at the tail end of hair metal when grunge took over, and they just kind of stuck with it and like made it work, you know. And I respect that so much.
Yeah.
So I have this this interview that Michael Starr, his real name is Ralph, but Michael Starr did with it's called Celebrity Jobber, and he talks about kind of like how he got into Steel Panther and stuff. And I didn't cut the whole interview, but just to show you how far back these guys go, they did a commercial for Discover Card as a band called Danger Kitty. So this is an actual commercial they did in I think 2001.
The year was 1983, and Danger Kitty released their hit single, Love Rocket. With it came instant fame and fortune. They bought mansions, cars, and the finest women's clothing. But by 1984, the fans left, the fortune was gone, and the dream was over. Desperate for money, Danger Kitty last performed at the Smuggler Bar Mitzvah.
Some people just can't live within their means. The Discover Card with spending management tools for the slightly smarter consumer.
So that's Steel Panther before they were Steel Panther. But let me play this interview, and let's talk about some of it.
That Steel Panther has gotten over the past few years, because I mean, it's not amazing. I mean, you guys are talented, you're fun, and I think that's maybe something that, you know, we need to focus on. So since Steel Panther is a fun band, when did you guys kind of come up with the idea of a fun satirical rock band?
Listen to
That's
this.
a great question, man. And I can answer it in a short version or a long version. I'm going to do the medium version because it's important to start from the beginning, right?
Right.
So when we first started out, it was like grunge had just taken over heavy metal. And heavy metal, if you were in a heavy metal band, people started making fun of you. Kind of like if you were in Nickelback, right?
Right.
And it was like that thing going on. But we're like, you know what? We like Nickelback. Or we're like, we love heavy metal. We didn't cut our hair. We kept playing. And we kept playing heavy metal, and people made fun of us. And we were just like, hey, we're going to bring heavy metal back. And really at the core of it, all four of us at that time, all were just having fun anyways. So we just brought it on stage, and we started making fun of ourselves. And people started making fun of the fact that we were making fun of ourselves. And then we would start like, just like pointing out all the absurdity and excessiveness of the 80s that was funny about it, and just started talking about it because it was it was funny. You know, I mean, you think about a girl dancing on a Jaguar, and you're like, wait, what? Why is she on the hood of the car dancing? This is so weird, right? It's funny as hell. But at the time, it was like, this is so metal, you know, and just became kind of funny, and we just kind of just kept doing it, and just like people would say to us, shut up and play some music. Quit talking. You know? And we're just like, I think the longest time we had in between a song was 25 minutes.
Wow.
And the only reason I know that is because our drummer times everything.
Right.
So he makes sure that we start on time and we end on time and we're on time. So yeah, that's the record we held. And, you know, we just...
What'd you say?
Sticks it in you.
Yeah.
Really, at the core, we like to have fun. We like to crack jokes. And we pretty much do the same stuff backstage. And then we just kind of developed it over the years. And then people started calling us a comedy show.
Right.
And we're like, really?
Right.
Comedy? We're not comedians. Really? And then we just kind of, you know, once it got bigger and we started playing really big shows, and we realized that a lot of the quick stuff that we were doing worked in a small venue, we couldn't do that anymore. We had to slow it down and really just kind of make everything a little bit bigger, and it was different. So you had to really kind of plan out like a outline of what you're going to do, and then you can kind of use improv in between all that.
Right.
So that's how it's developed into it. You know, we didn't really sit down and go, hey, let's be a heavy metal cover band that makes fun of the bands we love.
Right.
We never thought it would be that.
It's just evolved into this monster, because it is.
They were, man. Have you seen them live yet, Dryden?
No, but I've only heard.
Their live show has just always been. It's like got like what I love about Kill Tony, I guess. probably some of the elements I love about Kill Tony with like good musicianship too. You know, they're like really talented players.
It says that you have often been cited as having a PhD in English
this is interesting
from the
too.
University of California, Berkeley. However, it's a common misconception because you lied about your education to get an apartment when your credit was being checked.
It worked, right? It worked. It worked. I got the apartment, and to this day, people come up to me and go, "Hey, I can't believe you write all those great lyrics." I go, "Yeah, man." And they're like, "Oh, it's because you're an English major, right?" And I go, "No, it's because Satchel wrote them, dude. I'm just singing them. That's what I do."
So that's interesting. Fact I didn't know. He said Satchel writes the lyrics.
Yeah. So I'm sure
I'm a
he writes a lot of
wordsmith.
the musical.
I don't make them up. I
do.
What's that?
I'm sure Satchel's responsible for a lot of the musical arrangements, so it would only make sense that
That he also writes the lyrics. Michael Starr also he just has that David Lee Roth like frontman thing about him.
Yeah.
just sing them. Right now, it's just that truth of the matter is with that PhD thing, I never put that up. And then Satchel kept reading. He goes, "You put that up." And I go, "No, I didn't put that up. I did not graduate with a degree in English literature. Clearly, right?" And Satchel was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's up there." And then somebody tried to take it down, and that's what they put up there.
So where did you go to school? Did you go to college, Michael?
Yeah, for 2 weeks. I really did. I went there for 2 weeks. And I realized, you know what? This is not what I want to do. And I remember clearly I met this girl. She was really cute. And she's like, "You want to go to the beach?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to go to the beach." So we got out of our class, got our bags, and drove to the beach. And I never went back. And I just I want to be in a band and I want to surf.
What did you think you were going to do when you said, "Okay, I'm going to give this college thing a shot"? You graduated high school. You're probably playing in bands when you're in high school, interested in music. But when you did go to college for those 2 weeks, what did you think?
Well, no, the reason I thought that is I thought, look, that's what I was taught.
Yeah.
You get a job, you support yourself, which is something I always have done. But then you got to get schooled, and you got to learn a trade, at least something to fall back on in case something happens with the music. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to do anything else. I want to support my dream by working. I don't mind working, but I want to rock. I don't want to waste my time learning a trade that I already know a trade. I know how to sing. I'm going to get paid by singing. And that was my goal, and I achieved it.
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
He's like, I already know a trade.
Yeah, I resonate with that for sure. That's awesome.
I really enjoy singing. I really do. And I think that, my mom taught me, she goes, "Look, if you want to make it in the music business, you need to live in Hollywood." And I was like, all right.
True.
So I moved up there and I did it. I quit. My last record label job was a record label called Virgin Records. And I worked there in production, but I was just the department assistant. So I would get people coffee and shit.
Right.
And I was like, oh God, this is really rough. And I
receptionist.
got offered an audition from Spider back in the day to go try out for
Spider's
this
their bass
agent.
player.
And I tried
Now.
out for the agent, and he put me in one of his cover bands. And I started singing there, and I quit my day job. And I started singing cover music for a living. It just started there.
What do you think, Michael, your big break? Like, was there
This is cool too.
one thing that happened where Steel Panther is just a household name, or maybe it predates Steel Panther? What do you think, if there was ever a moment in time where things changed for you professionally forever?
Well, I think there's a lot of those points that kind of create one point, right? I know it sounds kind of cryptic, but
No, not at all.
basically, yes, there's a point. Like one point would be me quitting my day job and then start working for that agent and singing in one of his bands, and then losing the weekly gig and not having a job anymore. And then I ended up working on a job site that my brother had a contracting company. And he said, "Well, you can come work over here and clean up the job site." And I was like, all right, $50 a day. I did that for a while. And then I stood my ground and I did that job. And the agent called me back and said, "Hey, I got another gig for you." And that was a really big turning point for me, because I really thought, oh no, I'm going to have to go back and do work, manual labor. I don't want to do that. And so we started doing that. And that's, pretty much when I met the boys. And I think really what happened is when I met Satchel and I met Lexi and we started working together, that's when everything changed for me, because I thought, wow, we really work well together. And then we got Sticks in the fold, and then it just all came together. And I'll never forget, we were playing one of our weekly shows at this place called the Key Club on the Sunset Strip, and we're selling it out every Monday night. We're getting paid killer money. Everything was awesome. And the president of Universal Republic Records comes to our show and says, I want to sign you guys.
Wow, there it is.
And that was pretty much, there's so many points that lead up to that and a lot of hard work that lead up to that. But that's really all it ends up being after all the hard work, is someone finally decides, hey, I want to sign these guys. And he did. He signed us, and here we are.
Okay, well, we can cut it out there. They were super famous for having, like, Kelly Clarkson would get on stage with them. Actually, we should play this after we talk for a second, because he talks about Vince Neil here, which that might be like a segment on its own. Because so I don't know if you know this, Joey, but like Steel Panther like beefed with Mötley Crüe a while back. Did we talk about this at one point?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, so they beefed with Mötley Crüe because they made a joke about Vince Neil being fat. Like, they're like, fat Vince is not as good as like original Vince. And then Tommy Lee or Nikki, I think it was Nikki Sixx, came at him on Twitter, and then they sent a video of Nikki Sixx talking shit about Vince Neil back in the 90s when because there was a minute when Vince Neil left the band and Mötley Crüe had John
I think
Corabi.
we did talk about that, yeah.
Yeah. And so like Steel Panther kind of like owned Mötley Crüe on Twitter with that. But
well, and it's also funny because their whole thing is making fun of Mötley Crüe type music. So it's like, dude,
but I thought that was interesting because it's really not like they love that music.
Well, you know what I mean though. Like
but
they have like the sarcasm, they taking
the piss, as the Brits would say, for sure. They're kind of like a Spinal Tap a little bit, for sure. But better. I think they're way better than Spinal Tap musically and comedically. But anyway, this last bit I wanted to play is him talking about all the people they had on stage, and he talks actually about Vince Neil right here.
Who, I mean, with everybody that is a fan of Steel Panther, a celebrity fan that's jumped on stage and performed with you guys or did a song with you guys, who was the one that sticks out to you that maybe you've become friends with now over the years? Who's the big celebrity fan? You can't get over it.
Well, so many of them were friends before that. So I think what happens is, for me and the rest of the guys, we all had our own individual friends as well, too. So, I would get to meet Satchel's celebrity friends, and he would meet my celebrity friends, and we just all knew each other. But having those people get on stage, for me, they're all like really important. A lot of them, some of them aren't with us anymore. But the first dude to get up on stage is Vince Neil.
Wow.
Like, this happened in Vegas like in 91 or some shit, I think.
Wow, that's
he
how
got
long
up on
they've
stage
been at it.
with us, no shoes, and he's hammered, and he sings Live Wire and Shout at the Devil.
Wow.
And I was like, Vince Neil is one of the coolest dudes around. He really is a super sweet guy. And those kind of guys getting on stage with us was really cool because we're big fans. And then, other celebrities that were our age that we knew that ended up having success in their life. The thing that really helped us out with them getting on stage is they would talk about us to other people and spread the word of our band. And it just got everywhere. I mean, people just knew who we were, especially in LA. And that's the right place to be if that's happening.
Yes, sir.
For you.
A 15th anniversary.
So anyway, Vince Neil was apparent. So I thought that was like a cool story just because, what he said about how they just loved metal. And when grunge took over, they were just like, fuck it. And they just kept playing metal. And he's just said when Vince Neil got on the stage, it was 91. So this Danger Kitty video is from like
The
10
year
years
was
later.
1983, and Danger Kitty released their hit single, Love Rocket. With it came instant fame and fortune. They bought mansions, cars, and the finest women's clothing. But by 1984, the fans left, the fortune was gone, and the dream was over. Desperate for money, Danger Kitty last performed at the Smuggler Bar Mitzvah.
Some people just
So I just thought I thought that was cool too, because it's like they even made a commercial making fun of themselves.
Yeah. They're very self-aware for sure, but
Yeah.
they're also all super kick-ass musicians. Like Satchel is a very, very talented guitar player. They're all like super talented.
Well, it's crazy too, because they didn't really start releasing their own material until like 2008. I think 2008 is when their first like original record came out. And like he said, they Vince Neil got on stage with them in 91. So what, like they stuck together as a band for like what, probably like almost 30 years before they really broke through
Right.
Yeah.
as a band.
Did you know
Oh,
he
wow.
was in?
Here, let's
Did
play
you know
this,
he
yeah.
was in Rockstar?
No. So that's the other thing he keeps saying is he's like been around Hollywood.
Thanks a lot, Ralph. That's great. Thanks a lot. That's it? Yeah, very nice. Thanks. Lovely.
All right, they're ready for you now.
Dope. I would have never made the connection that was him.